One of the greatest lessons that I ever learned in my 30 years of life is this. The chief end of man is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. Now, if you're wondering where that statement comes from, that comes from the Westminster Confession. It actually is a question. It's the first question is, what is the chief end of man? And the answer, the response is, the chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. But I didn't actually first hear that from the Westminster Confession. I actually read it in a book by Pastor John Piper in his book, Desiring God. Now, the whole point that Pastor John makes is that they had it correct. The Westminster Confession had it correct, but he kind of went deeper into it by explaining that the chief end of man is to glorify God, not that and then separate is enjoying Him forever, but the way in which you glorify God is by enjoying Him forever. And so the whole point that he makes in his book is that God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in Him. Now, let me just pause, caveat. Some people, they hear that, they hear the book, and their mind automatically goes to Christian hedonist. And listen, I get it. If you don't like the name, let's throw it out. But I believe the principle is true. Saint Augustine has a quote, and I want to read it for you. He said this: "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." Now, the whole point that Saint Augustine is making is that until we find satisfaction in the one who we were created for and who made us and created us for Him, you can search anywhere else in the world and in anything else that this world has to offer. But until you turn to your Creator, you're never going to be satisfied. Listen, I learned that lesson for myself. I didn't give my life to Jesus until I was 16. And before that, and even after that, I still tried to find joy and enjoyment in this life and happiness and satisfaction in so many different things. I've tried drugs. I've tried alcohol, substances. I've tried in relationships with different girls and different women and trying to be satisfied in that way. I've tried, trying to excel in school and get prestigious awards and try to make a name for myself. And ultimately, none of those things ever truly satisfied me. And it wasn't until I gave my life to Jesus that all of those things began to fade in the background. And when I began to place my life and all that I am in His hands, that's when life and fulfillment and joy and peace, everything that I was meant to experience wasn't just those things, but it was found ultimately in God. And so the lesson that I want to encourage you in is this: you are never going to be satisfied in the things that this world has to offer you. The only way you're going to be satisfied is if you find your satisfaction in God. The chief end of man, our ultimate goal in life, is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. So that's the first lesson that I wanted to share with you. Here is the second lesson. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Now, this quote comes from a book that I read about a few years ago. It's by John Mark Comer called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Now, if you know me, that is a book that I highly recommend to so many different people. If they ask me for book recs about books that have changed my life, that's like one of the first books that I give them. If you're interested in knowing more about that book, I'll put the link down in the description. So it's just one click away for you to be able to purchase and check out that book. Now, here's the funny thing. John Mark Comer didn't actually come up with that quote. It was actually by a theologian and philosopher named Dallas Willard. Now, Dallas Willard, he writes and he says, here is the ultimate enemy of spiritual life in the modern age, and it's hurry. And so what must you do? And this is where the great quote comes from. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. There is no other thing that you need to do. Just eliminate hurry. Now, when I read this, I was in a space in my life where I was just trying to do more and more and more, achieve more, be more. I was a part-time student pastor at the time. I was trying to do more in order to gain something that wasn't ever even promised to me, a full-time job at the church that I'm serving in. And I was just trying to do so much. And I was streaming video games at the time, trying to grow as a streamer. I was trying to be a great dad. I was trying to be a great husband. I was was trying to do so many different things, and I was hustling, and always in a hurry. And all of that things ultimately led to burnout. And it wasn't just the burnout, it was the anxiety, it was the constant worrying, it was the stress that all of that hurry brought on. And so the solution to all of those things, our anxiety, our worry, our stress, is to slow down, to ruthlessly kill the hurry that is in our lives. Like when you're at the grocery store and you're looking for a checkout lane, we often try to go to the shortest one. Why? Why are we in such a hurry? When you're on your way to work and it's pretty bad traffic, but you're trying to beat your Google Maps time. And so you're just swerving in and out of lanes to only beat one car and maybe get there 1 minute faster. So much of our peace and joy and life that we get to experience is disrupted and taken away because we're always in a hurry. So let me just encourage you in this. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Slow down. Slow down your life. Slow down your habits. Be intentional. Here's the truth about Jesus. Jesus was intentional about the way he used his time, but he was also interruptible. And so what I just want to encourage you is in this. Don't be in such a hurry in your life that you miss out on the present moment. Oftentimes we're such in a hurry to get to the future. Oftentimes we're such in a hurry to get to the next phase in life. Sometimes we're just in a hurry to get things done. But man, slow down, live in this moment and experience the life for which Christ Jesus has saved you for. And so that, my friends, is the second lesson. Here is the third. Worship with your life, with all that you are. This is your head, your heart, and your hands. Now, this is something that I actually learned really early on in my faith journey. When I gave my life to Jesus, my dad had discipled me and he taught me this principle. It's the will, the intellect, the head, the heart, and the hands, your will, your intellect, and your emotions. You are to engage all that you are in worship to God. Now, first of all, that means that worship, we use that word oftentimes when it comes to church services. We think worship is just the time that we spend singing on a Sunday morning. Worship is far more than that. Worship is how we live our lives to glorify and honor God, to give the worth, to ascribe worth due the name of God. And so with our lives, I believe that we're supposed to use all that we are, our head, our heart, and our hands. The way we think, the truths about God, and how they make us feel, the affections that we have towards God. And then our hands, what are we doing in response to what we know is true and the religious affection that we have for God? What then do we do? Now, here's the thing. I believe that you need all three, as in all three are essential when it comes to worship to God. Now, let me explain. If you have the head and the heart, right? You have great truths and thoughts about God, and you have these affections toward Him, but you never do anything about it, you're a hypocrite. Your works are dead is what the book of James says. You can know all the truths and you can feel a certain way, but if you never do anything about it, then that's hypocrisy. Or the other way to think about it is this. Maybe you have great truths and thoughts about God and you do something about it because it's your duty, but you never have a genuine heart change. Like your heart, you don't have the religious affections towards God. Then what you become is just like the Pharisees and just like the religious elite. Here's why. Jesus says in the Gospels, he says, these people, they honor me with their lips, right? They pay lip service to me. They give their sacrifices to me, but their hearts are far away. And he doesn't accept that kind of worship. And so that means, right, when we have great thoughts about God and we do stuff about it, but our hearts are not in the right place, then it's not worship that is acceptable to God. And lastly, if you have great emotions and you're really stirred up in your emotions and you do stuff about it, but you don't have these truths about God, then all that is emotionalism. There's no difference from you when you're at a concert just singing songs with your favorite artist than it is when you're on a Sunday morning worshiping God if you don't know the God to whom you worship. And so I believe all three are essential when it comes to worshiping God. We're to engage all that we are, our head, our heart, and our hands in order to glorify God. So listen, those were just 3 lessons that I've learned from 30 years of my life as a follower of Jesus. And I want to encourage you, I'm writing more on this in my newsletter. You can find it in the description. You can help me even name that newsletter, but I'm going to be tackling even more lessons in there and in different topics. So this one was about as a follower of Jesus, but follow along for next week and the following week as I talk about lessons as a father and lessons as a husband. So I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you can receive more content just like this. And down in the comments, I want you to answer this question. What are some lessons that you've learned as a follower of Jesus? I am all about learning. I want to learn more lessons for myself. And so I want to be encouraged. Write some lessons down in the comments and I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you. Peace.